Hello everyone. In this video, I will demonstrate how to analyze data using Excel pivot tables. So this is the case we are going to work on. This project gives you an opportunity to learn how to use Excel's pivot table feature to analyze the data set. Okay, so the data that we are going to use in this case is for online management training. um, uh, so this company basically they sell training videos on management, and two ways they do it, online and by selling books. Okay, so we need to analyze that data, and there is a list of sales transaction for at OMT, stands for online management training, for one day. And you can find this, I'm going to give you the spreadsheet. So we have to basically work on these four questions here and try to visualize the data and provide our recommendation. Okay, so let's see the data set. Okay, so I already created different tabs here for different questions, as you can see, and this is the data set we have. So we have customer ID, this is for one particular day, and we have region, we have payment mode or method, we have source the customer use to buy the product, we have product, whether it's online training or book selling, again what time of day they bought the item, and the amount they paid for. Okay, so these are the different fields we have. I will always recommend you to stop here and understand the data set thoroughly before move on, because once you know what fields are categorical and what fields are numerical, then it becomes very easy to analyze the data. I see that we only have one measure of interest, which is amount, and we will be doing a lot of group buys using different categories. But our measure of interest will always be sales, or the amount customer paid. Okay, so this is the data we have. So let's go to the first question. Let's say, where are the average purchases higher? The answer might tell managers where to focus marketing and sales resources, or pitch different messages to different region. So here, basically what we need to do is we need to find average sales by region. Okay, and this is how we'll do it. So make sure your cursor is pointing within the list. This is the list. Okay, you see that it's a complete list. It doesn't have any blank rows and blank columns in between. Okay, so it is a complete list, and it should not have any blank spaces. Okay, a blank cell like this might be okay, but not the, but not the, I would say, but not the entire row. Okay, so so entire row means, this cannot be blank like this. Okay, so you cannot have a row in between completely blank. Okay, and likewise you cannot have a column completely blank. So with that in mind, let's go to insert pivot table. That will automatically select the entire list. So complete list is selected. You can see that here. All right, and I either can do on a new worksheet, or I can do the existing worksheet. Either way is fine. Now when you will start your work, you will have a new worksheet because you don't have these tabs here, or you can create those tabs there. So if you do the new worksheet, that's fine. So if you want to do the new worksheet, this is how you would do it. Okay, and I'm just going to quickly show you. So I'll click on the region. Now this fields, you can either click on it or you can drag it. Okay, so if you click on it, it will automatically put into the rows. But if you don't want in rows, you want in column, you can just drag it anywhere you want, filter, whatever you want to do. Okay, but we'll just leave it to the rows and then click on the amount. Okay, so this is what you're gonna get, and then you can save this one as query question one, average sales by region, and move it to the right. Okay, this is the typical thing we do. Okay, I just wanted to demonstrate this one. So you just double click on it, name it Q1 sales, and you're done. Uh, but I already have an existing worksheet, so I will delete this one and redo my thing. So I will go to the insert pivot table, existing worksheet, and let me choose the location. So I'll say, I'll just, I want it here. Okay. and I'll say okay. So it's going to put the table there. Okay, so we are going to do the same thing, region and amount, but we want average amount by each region. So here you see that at the right left, I mean the right bottom corner, you see values. This is the measure of interest, which will always be amount. So we want to click here, go to value field settings, and say I want average, and go to the number format. Okay, and say currency here, and I prefer 0 decimal places, so I'll just go to the 0 decimal places, but it's up to you what you think appropriate. You can do that, and this will give me the sales, average sales by region. Okay, now it's good that we have a table, but it's even better if we can plot this one into chart, and it's very easy. So make sure you are on the pivot table analysis top here. Okay, then click on pivot chart, and it will give you options. So I just want to do the simple chart here, clustered column, and say okay. So you have a nice column here. Okay, let's make this better. So this, I will call this as, let's say, average sales by region. Okay, let's close this one so we have more space here. Okay, and you can add chart elements. So you can click on this plus sign, and you go to the data labels. I want to show the data labels that you see there. Or if you don't have this plus option, the other thing is you can go to the design here on the top and add chart element, and you can decide here as well, like I want data labels and I want the data callouts, for example. Okay, so either way is fine. You can do it this way, or you can go here, plus sign here, data labels, click on this arrow and say I want data callouts. Just do the same thing. Okay, so analyzing this data, what it tells you, it tells you that we are getting the most average sales from south region. Okay, and followed by east, west, and north. So obviously, as a marketing team, you would try to cash in on this information, and maybe try to see what you could do in the north region. Okay, so that's a conclusion you have to put. Okay, so you cannot just paste the chart and move on. You have to write the interpretation. Remember, as a business students, communication skills are very important. So you need to communicate the interpretation of this chart, what it means to the manager. Okay, managers, they want to take decisions, and you need to tell them like what decision they could take. Okay, by providing your recommendation. So you have to write your recommendation, whatever I described here. Okay, or maybe conclusion, or maybe interpretation, whatever. Okay, so you can write an interpretation, what do you mean by this chart. And in the Word document, you can always copy and paste just the chart. You don't need to copy and paste the table, because chart is what I need in your documentation. Okay, so that's something you have to keep in mind. Moving on, let's go to the question number 2. What form of payment is most common? The answer could be used to emphasize in advertising the most preferred means of payment. Okay, so here we need to analyze the total sales. You can do the average sale as well, but it's up to you, but I would do the total sales by payment type. So we'll go here again, insert pivot table, and existing worksheet. Let's go to payment method here, and I want to put it here. Okay, and then say okay. Okay, so here we have a payment type. By default, it will put in the rows, and that's how I want it. And then you have amount, and we have the total amount, but I want to format this to show currency symbol and take out all decimal places. So I will go here. You can right click here, drop down value field settings. I guess you can also do it here. So if you right click here, okay, value field setting, you can do it here as well. Okay, go to the number format, currency, 0 decimal places. Okay, so that's going to look nicer. And let's close this one. Let's plot the pivot chart. So again, you have to make sure that your pivot table analyze tab that is highlighted by underline. Go to the pivot chart here. And let's say this time I want to choose pie chart. Okay, so we'll do the pie chart here. Okay, and we'll add the callouts. So I'll say plus data labels, data callouts. Okay, and let's add a title here. Total sales by payment types. Okay, payment type. Okay, so how would you interpret this chart? Well, 64% of the sales are coming from, or from customer who are using credit card, while 36% of the sales are 36% of the sales is coming from the customer who are using PayPal as a payment mode. So this is the interpretation you have to write in your report. Okay, so what managers can do, well, looks like credit card is working well, so they would like to promote more on using credit cards by the customer, make it easier for them, and give them some more maybe coupons or discounts or something like that. PayPal is very popular, but may not be as popular as credit cards. So they can still retain this, but maybe find another ways to, to include as a payment method, right? So now we have Zelle in the banking sector where people can use it and directly pay. And there are a lot of many other options. So probably you can provide those in your recommendations. Okay. So moving on, number 3, are there any times of day when purchases are most common? Are there any times of day when purchases are most common? Do people buy products while at work, likely during the day, or at home, likely in the evening? Okay, so let's do that. I'll go here again, the same thing. We'll go insert pivot table, existing worksheet, click on this arrow up here, go to question number 3. I will click it here. Make sure you don't close this one. Okay, so you have to drop it down and say okay here. Okay, so time of day, I will click on time of day. Okay, that does it for me. And then we want amount. Oh, I mean the total customer. Okay, so we don't want amount, we want total number of customer who are buying product at a particular time. So we will use cust ID as a as a values measure of interest. Okay, but we don't want sum of customer ID, we want count of customer ID, how many customers are buying it, right? So I will right click here. I will go to the value field settings, right? And I'll say give me count. Okay, so let's give me count. Right click here. It doesn't give me the groupings, but I guess if you select this one here, right click here, I can select any cell. Now it gives me the group. Okay, now if you go to the grouping, it's grouping minutes, hours, and seconds. So you can do that, but you cannot do days, months, and quarter because you just have transactions for one day. Okay, I'm only interested in hours, I'm not interested in minutes. I'll deselect minutes here and say okay. Okay, and that will take out all those outlining. Okay, so here we have it for different times of day, hourly transaction, how many customer bought it at particular time. Let's plot this one using our pivot table analyze tab and pivot chart here. Let's use a simple one. Okay, let's call it number of customers by times of day. Okay, so that's a thing, and you can provide the interpretation here. Looks like later in the day people are buying more, I would say from 3 to 9 p.m. maybe. A lot of people are buying it, but during the daytime, there are good numbers, but not as high as the afternoon or the evening. So you need to provide those recommendations that maybe they can promote more like evening buying rather than the morning, because morning time is more busy time compared to the evening time, right? So you can provide whatever interpretation you want. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. Okay, this, don't take this as a benchmark. Okay, so you can provide a recommendation on how to increase the sales during the morning times, maybe give them discounts so that you can have more transaction in the morning. And that's also right. Okay, you can provide both the recommendations, and that's what I'm looking for in your report. Okay, so again, what you will put in your report, you're just going to put this chart in your report. Okay, so this is number 3. Let's go to number 4. Now we are going to analyze the data by 2 variables. So far we have done it only by 1 variable. Okay, so now we are going to do it by 2 variables. So we want to find out uh, the relationship between region and type of product purchase and their effect on the average sales price. Okay, so we are using region and product purchase, which is online or book, and the average sales price. Okay, so let's do that. I'll go here. Okay, so I'll go to the insert pivot table, existing worksheet. So I'll click on this arrow here. Okay, go to the number 4, paste it here. Okay, so we want what's the relationship between region and region, type of product purchase, and average sales price. Okay, so let's do that. So we have a region, I want to put it in the rows column. Product, I want to put it in the column. See, it put it everything in the rows. Okay, so we can do that. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but I would rather put the product, drag it to the columns. Okay, column, and we want amount. So amount is the numerical field, so it will put it in the summation values here. That makes sense because you can only do summation on the numerical fields, right? So that's there, right? So you can right click on the sum of amount. Okay, because we are interested in the average amount. So I'll go to the value field settings, and I'll say give me the average, right? And number format, I will say currency with 0 decimal places. Okay, and let's plot the chart again. Pivot table, analyze pivot chart here. Okay, let's do the simple cluster chart. Okay, and let's format this one. Let's add a title. So can I do a title here, chart title? Right, it was not available here. If it is not, if you don't see this plus sign, you can go to the design and add chart title here. Okay, from here as well. Okay, so 2 ways you can do that. So here, let's say average sales by region and product. Okay, so how would you interpret this chart? Well, looks like books are getting sold more than the online content. So we don't know the reason why this is happening. Reason, we don't know the reason why this is happening. This could be because traditionally they might have been selling books and they added video contents recently. We don't know that, but as we know that now things are getting more online, more on the smartphones, mobile devices and things like that. We want to promote online buying, right? So you can recommend some strategies that OMT or this company can use to increase the sales for their online contents. Okay, so you have to provide that kind of recommendation. Looks like online sales are constant, while book sales are there are little variation in the book sales, right? So most of the book sales are coming from east and south, not as much from north. So this is your interpretation. Okay, that's what you need to write down in your report. So this was the last one. Okay, so you have to copy this chart and paste it there. Okay, let me save this one so I have it for my record. Okay, Okay, now what you are going to write in the report. Okay, so let's go back to Blackboard. Let's go to 518. Let's go to chapter 12, and this is the template, right? Excel project report template. So I'll download this one. So again, first page is the title page here. Then you're going to follow the instruction, write the introduction, describe this company, what they are doing, and what problems they are facing, and how you can help them, how your method will help them solve their problems, what methodology you're using. You can say you're using Excel data visualization techniques, and you will be focusing on pivot table, pivot charts, histograms, pie charts, and things like that. And you also need to describe how this will help company interpret the visualization better and help them support decision making. Okay, so you have to include all the research questions, like what you're trying to answer briefly here. Okay, so you can say that a company might be interested by analyzing sales by region or sales by different payment type, because this will help them make like kind of a marketing pitch according to different market segments, right? So something you have to write it here. Now in data analysis, this is just guidelines. These are just guidelines, right? So if you're not doing scatter chart, don't worry about it. If you're not doing histograms, don't worry about it. If you're doing just pivot table and pivot chart, just focus on these two things. Okay, so pivot table, I wouldn't. If you're doing pivot table and pivot charts, I'll just do the pivot charts here. Provide the first, what you're going to do here is you will write the question that you're trying to answer, very much like what we have here. Write the question, okay, and then provide the chart, right? Then provide the chart, okay, and then provide your interpretation. Okay, so you first write the question here, like you're gonna say question one, whatever is there, I mean question one, and then chart, and then interpretation. Okay, this is going to be for every question. Okay, now you have to keep in mind this thing you're going to follow, and this will be followed by the discussions. Okay, you have to discuss how management can use your findings to support their decision making. Okay, and then provide brief conclusion, and you have to provide two references, at least two references. Okay, this is very important. Okay, you have to explore, you have to do research on YouTube or maybe articles or something like that. You have to find something new and include that in your report, and include those two references, okay, in your report. If I don't see references, then points will be deducted, something you need to be aware of. And last thing, you have to make sure that students are required to create at least couple of more charts based on their own understanding of the data that will enhance insights generated. Okay, so you have to create at least couple of more charts, and these two charts should be based on totally different questions other than the ones covered in the class. Okay, so you cannot use the same questions I did in class, or right now. Okay, so your questions should be totally different than the 4 questions I solved recently. Okay, and then you have to follow all the things I've said, like you have to discuss every chart thoroughly, provide your interpretation, and follow the template. Okay, so with this, I guess I'm done here. Thank you very much for watching this video.